Okay, everybody, good morning. Thank you for joining us. We are going to be talking about some new tools that we built for y'all today. But I'd like to welcome everybody. My name is Andrew Hyder. I go by Hack Your City, and I work at Code for America. I work on the Brigade program, which is a volunteer network of 40,000 plus people working on civic technology in their cities. Thank you to everybody volunteering. You can find out more about the Brigade program at codeforamerica.org/brigade, and you'll be able to read all about it. You'll be able to see what we're up to and maybe even start your own group. As you can see, we have a lot of groups. Look at this map. We've got so many people all over the world participating. They're all using their skills to help improve local civic issues. And those skills are lots of it is code, but there's lots of design, there's research, there's organizing, there's dancing, there's activism, there's just fun and merrymaking. We try to have a good time, and there's a lot of groups around there doing this. So each one of these little pins is what we call a brigade. It's based off the old American volunteer firefighter brigade. And so we just got a lot of people doing this for a bunch. So let me show you how big this movement is. We are now at 44,000 people volunteering. This is just in the US, volunteering regularly to help improve their cities. We've got 133 of these groups around the world. And today what I'm going to be talking about is this number down here. We got 4,000 plus projects that these volunteers are working on. 2,300 of them are from these volunteer groups. The Code for All, a bunch of those international ones you saw, this Code for All program, we got a couple thousand, and a whole bunch of these government projects. These are like opt-in ones. We're going to be talking about all these projects and about how you can best find these projects and get involved in them. So the main thing that I wanted to show off today is going to be about how to search through this big pile of projects. So we're going to be talking about some project search tools that we built. We're going to show off some why it's taken so long. And we're going to show off some other cool little experiments that we've going on and about how you can help and get involved in these tools. And at the end of it, we're going to have plenty of time for answer. So I'm going to try and blaze through all these examples if we can. Often these hangouts that we do here are about an hour long. I imagine this one's going to be a little shorter, but we'll see. We'll see how many questions you guys have. So without further ado, let me begin. If you navigate to codeforamerica.org/brigade/projects, I would like to announce to you the release of the Civic Tech Project Search. What this is a tool to help you search through that enormous big pile of 4,000 plus projects, right? So let's go play around with it for a little bit. So if we look at it just as it is, it's returning projects in the order of the last updated. So someone in New River Valley was just been messing around with the New River Valley Parks and Trails project. That's great. Thank you guys. Let's see, we've got a whole bunch of 18F projects, some Code for America stuff going on. Chai Hack Knight's always working on Story Map.js. So you can start to get a sense for the pulse of the network of like which projects are being worked on and when. And that's interesting, but the real power of this comes from search. So we are able to search across this big pool of projects in lots of different ways. First off, you probably are most interested in a topic. You're volunteering already to help your city with, let's say, housing. Let's search for housing. Let's see what happens. Great. Look at these. We've got in Chattanooga, the Best Nest app. Code for Boston is working on some maps to contribute to the policy discussion around gentrification. And this one's a really cool project. Let's we go to view the project here. You can actually be taken directly to the project. We'll check it out for a second. This is Boston. They've got 3 side-by-side maps going on showing different income levels. There we go, right? And then you can see the change in those income levels by neighborhood or district or census tract. And you start to get a sense for like how the city is changing decade by decade. You can start to have some good conversations about gentrification in it. That's wonderful. And we were able to find that really quickly just by searching for housing on the Civic Tech project search. Great. You can also go and be taken directly to the code that's there. You can get a glimpse about who's helping to contribute to it, which volunteer group it was born out of. We've got some other information about it down here. But there's a whole bunch of housing projects, so this could just take up a lot of time being able to search through and find those. That's great. So you're able to find all of these projects by a topic. But sometimes we're a bunch of us are hackers, and we like to write a lot of code, and the things that we're really good at are more limited by our technical ability than the topic. So sometimes you just want to find all of the Ruby projects that are being worked on. Let's see what we got. Oh my gosh, so many Ruby projects. All right. Those all right, good for Ruby. I think Python is way better though. That's what I use, so we wanna go and find out what we got here. Cool, interesting. So we got Code for South Africa doing some stuff. We got Code for America going. That's great. I think the real power of it though starts to be when you combine these searches. So let's find schools in JavaScript. Let's see what types of projects are being worked on in the JavaScript language about schools. Oh, this is great. We got Chai Hack Nights doing some great stuff. We got, let's check out this Code for Philly project, public school accessibility. All right. There we go. We're going to see the distance around. Oh, we got a nice map. And oh, look at this beautiful map. And there's the walking distance along the routes here. Good work, Code for Philly. Thank you. All right. So now you can see how we can search both along topic areas and by programming language. And that's super useful. And the thing is, though, is that we've actually had the technology in the back end to allow for that type of search for quite a while. And I've had this projects for a long time, just trying to test with it. And I never put this link up here to like make it really obvious and public to people because it like wasn't solving the real user needs that we had found. It was like missing something before I wanted to put it out and make it really public. And the needs that we had really identified and were really trying to answer, there's two of them. We wanted to make this tool really useful for two different people. The first being a government employee, like someone who works at a city. Maybe they attend their local brigade and their hack nights. Maybe they're that person's boss, just something. We wanted to make sure that the Civic Tech project search, when that person would go and search for housing or whatever, they could have a way to find projects that were finished, that were actually done, so that they didn't, because a government employee is not quite in the business of spending their nights and weekends building new projects to learn new skills or something. They want to like immediately solve some problems for the cities. And so that comes with these buttons down here, these project stages. And for the government employee, the one that we're talking about is the official project. I'm gonna click on that. There we go. This is bringing us to all of the projects across the network, a growing number of them that have been tagged or have been given the stage of official. And what we mean by that is that it's officially a real project. It's out of the beta phase. It's out of alpha. It's sort of graduated through all of these levels. So you could play around in here. For the most part, it's been us sort of going and giving status to some of these. So it's a small number at the moment, but it's growing really quickly. And hopefully after this presentation, all of these brigades will go and add more of this data, metadata, to theirs. So look, we got the open data policy in Fort Lauderdale. They're saying this one-page site to promote it is like official. They're proud of it. That means that like any other city employee that's looking for something similar to this, to have a reasonable amount of confidence that this project is going to fulfill their needs, right? That's what we mean by this official stage. You can also combine that. You could search, let's say we've got the status of official, and we want to do, let's see if there's any with schools. I'm not actually sure there is. Let's find there is. Oh, there we go. Great. So official school projects, Early Oakland. This is a really cool tool. It comes out of Open Oakland, and it helps parents find early childhood services in Oakland. It's got this really nice little map right here. Here we go. And you can search by all these things. It's a great tool. We've seen lots and lots of brigades here in America and around the world build similar services. That kind of proves that cities aren't really unique and they share a lot of the same needs. And there's some lots of easy, tried and true official projects that you could fork or redeploy or re-implement in the specific context for your city. That's what we're trying to achieve with the official stage. All right. Monique, are there any questions I should attend
so
before?
There's one question from Karen from Denver. And she's saying that that's really great, but even if a city employee finds a cool project, they may run into barriers that they find from the city's tech department. So do you have any recommendations on how to go about navigating that tension?
Yeah, it's an incredibly common problem for sure. So the tension between the city's IT department of like now having to be responsible for a new project. I mean, it's basically saying like you go and find this project and you're not done. There's now the incredible political work to actually make the thing live. There's a couple options. Hopefully you have a volunteer group within your city, and there's a really good chance that they could end up hosting it. That they could be the maintainers of it, that you can work in partnership with them. There are a growing amount of these great modern and really reliable local firms, especially coming out of these volunteer groups that could take the contract of maintaining it. And then there's also just working with the city of being able to look at I'm going to go into it in a minute about the definition of the official stage here, but included in that is some thought to dependability, reliability, and testing, and it's been through the trials already a little bit. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that fully answers it, because every city is different. There's hopefully, if a volunteer project is labeled as official, it's not going to be as big of a deal to host and maintain as it would be a full blown on contract for another project. Now, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have more time to sort of address that at the end, so you can maybe clarify your question, Karen, if that didn't really answer it. But Ash was also wondering, and I know you're going to go into it, Andrew, but Ash was wondering if you could talk about the APIs you're using. What's the back end for all this work, so that he can make sure that he's tagging his projects appropriately. But you're going to get into it right now, so that's good.
Yeah, cool. I'm definitely gonna answer your question, Ash. I got a couple more details to get into about this. Just wanted to check in with everybody. Great. So we've done this part where we've made the tool as best as we can at this alpha level useful for a government employee. Right? They can go and find projects that people are really proud of and they think are ready for. They've really solved the problem in their city, and so they're the best example we have of being ready to help in another city. But there's a lot more people in this network than just the city employees. There's also about 400 or 500 really dedicated brigade leaders. These are the volunteers who have been doing this stuff weekly for years at their local hack night. They've they want to go and build these projects, but they're actually spending most of their time doing organizing and trying to find really good projects for their volunteers to work on. And so we think that the rest of these stages are really useful for the brigade leadership. So say you have an issue in your city, but you want to find something that's not actually completely finished for it. You can start to look at, say, the beta stage and the alpha stage to see projects that are they've proven that there's an actual user need to be solved here, but they're not completely finished. They haven't fully got the endorsement from everybody. So you could go and take them and see what your volunteers then have something to work on, like there's tasks involved, so they can start to go and see what we got. So under beta, we got a bunch of really interesting stuff. Like Open Austin's got these really nice offline park search. Helsinki's got an open project. I don't even know. Transparency and democracy, cool. That must be really fun to look into. There's just this huge pile of ongoing work that could really use some help and may or may not be a great starting point for a new project in your city. Check out some of the alpha projects. Great, a whole bunch more. I think it's time then to get into what these stages mean and why we're doing this. So we've got this link right here. What are these? And what we're mostly talking about is the definition of these stages and why we did this. So Code for America has been helping as a central resource to track and push and motivate the civic technology movement in the United States. And one of the things we found is that there's a need for a common language across this huge pile of 4,000 projects, a way to talk about them that everyone can understand. And so what we've attempted to do is create 4 categories for volunteer-built civic technology. This isn't for stuff that's coming out of Google's civic tech arm. This isn't for stuff that's coming out of a local company that's got a dedicated team. The recommendations you're going to see here are specifically for the lessons that we've learned that apply to volunteer-built projects. So you can go and find each of these stages, and they're written from the point of view of you're trying to figure out what your project is, what would be the right way to label your project. So I've got this section here of your project is an experiment if you haven't really talked to users yet, and your brigade hasn't really endorsed it yet. The theme of the experiment, we want there to be of those 4,000 projects, I want to see 3,000 experiments. I think it's going to be this big funnel of lots and lots of cool stuff, because we want to, as the poster says, and the theme for this one is make many things. We've also got a lot of advice about what that team, the people building that project, should be working on for their experimental projects, what the brigade should be doing at that level, and what Code for America should be doing at that level. The only requirement that we have for experiments is that they are respectful and they're under the code of conduct. So there's been some thought to making sure the appropriate civic tech project. The next stage would be alpha, and the theme for this is that they solve one person's problem. So if you go and search through those alpha projects, that's kind of what we mean by those, that the project actually works for one person and they actually have that need. And so that's the level that project is at. The project should have, the brigade should be oh, great, cool. It solves a real need. There should be a volunteer who's stepped up and raised their hand to be the owner. And there should be something online to share. They should be able to talk about it. The brigade should be able to talk about it. And that's really important because the brigade is going to start actually talking about it and going out and trying to get other user testing and go get partners and all this kind of stuff. Right? We've got a bunch of other recommendations about what should be happening at that level. For beta projects, we think you should be scaling out. Like, you've solved one person's problem. Now see if this approach that you've got, this package of design and code and research, is appropriate to solve a whole bunch of people's problems. And the only way you're going to really do that is through partnerships and user testing. And so this is a full effort by the brigade's going to be doing this. Code for Merit will help you do this, and the project team should really be making sure that they have volunteers who can do this type of work, right? I've also got some stuff in here about writing tests to increase stability. Like, you want to, if anybody goes to your live link of your beta projects, that it should be reasonably stable. And I think that's important because at this point, we really think that you should have either a local government partner or a nonprofit community partner, someone who's willing to put their reputation behind this project as well. That just gives it a lot of credibility and weight. And it takes some of the burden off of the volunteers. Because right about this time in volunteer projects, we call it the trough of sorrow, where it's taken a while to get to this point. And inevitably, volunteers need to go and pay attention to their families, their day jobs, their other life outside of their civic volunteering. And so finding a strong partner will really help weather the project through that time of transition. And official projects, the theme is impact. You need to be able to show that you have impact. There should be a lot of thinking about what is the real problem this is solving and how do we measure that it's actually happening. All the serious stuff about analytics and metrics and all that, so make it as real as you want to. But the real thing that we're saying is that you should throw a party. That you should really be celebrating that a group of volunteers has made a piece of civic technology or a process or design, whatever, that solves and has real impact in their city, and they deserve to be celebrated for it. So whatever type of celebration is appropriate for you and your group, but we really think that celebration is one of the main parts of launching an official project. Code for Merit will help you do it. And there's some other recommendations here. All right. So hopefully you can see how those stages apply into this project search and what we mean by this, and why this extra context of adding a little bit of metadata to the project, so that gives a little bit of, you can understand now maybe where that project is at. If you just were looking at this and you saw the fish stocking schedule from Vermont, that's such a Vermont code for Burlington project. But, they're great, man. They're doing awesome work. But if you just saw this without any context, you'd be like, oh, great, I need to have a fish stocking schedule too. And maybe you go to it and you're like, whoa, this is an experiment and it's not quite ready for what I need to do. So hopefully now you can see that real quickly and just understand a little bit more about it. Cool, I've got more stuff coming in just a second, but are there any specific questions about just the stages and the nuances about them? Okay, great. If you also notice, there's, on all these projects, most of them that have stages, they also have tags down here. So we found that, since we're already adding some metadata about the project, what stage they're in, if it's an experiment, alpha or beta, there's other metadata that could be added. There's actually lots of different kinds of metadata, and there's all these debates about what format that metadata should be in. Things like, what data set does this project feed from? What civic need does it solve? What vendor supplied software does it plug into? There's just lots and lots of extra information we could add into here. But for our, this is the project search, it's still a brand new thing. We are sticking to two pieces of metadata, the stage up here and these tags. We believe that the tags can capture most of all of that other stuff. even if it's not in a very structured way. But what it really does help with is search. So the search, technically, it searches the name of the project, the description, programming language, who built it, that kind of stuff. But there's no way this fish stocking schedule, like there's no way to search for National Day of Civic Hacking and find this project or the list of National Day of Civic Hacking projects until we're able to add some tags to it. So it really helps with search. So adding some tags to your project is going to help the searchability of it and the people being able to find it, right? Cool. All right, so we've got metadata. We've got these stages, and we've got these tags. And you're probably asking about how do we add that metadata to the project. And this is one thing we've been waiting to get right, and we finally have it. So let me find one. I'm gonna try to go through a whole example here. Let's see. I'm gonna do Code for America. We've got all of these projects going on. We've got all this stuff, and if you notice, all these projects that don't have a stage or they don't have tags or anything, they all appear with this little button. It's called Add More Information. It's kind of ugly at the moment. I would love to make it a little nicer if anybody has ideas on that. Cool. But what this button brings you to is the way that we're going to add this metadata to the projects. So as you can see, the URL is changed up here. We're talking about the specific project, and we're going to add a Civic JSON. And what that means is we're going to make this project, in this case, Code for America's Code of Conduct, we're going to make it really easy to search for. Filling out this form is going to send a request to this project, and it's going to add a civic.json file. You can read a whole bunch more about the civic.json file over here on the Brigade project search README. We've got a big description about all this stuff. We've got examples of what this civic.json file actually looks like. We've got examples about why we're using it, where it came from. It's got this history that Beta NYC and Chai Hack Night, both of which are older than Code for America. Chai Hack Night is the longest running Civic Hack Night in the country. They've been doing this for a while, so we just took their lead, and we're using the two pieces of metadata that we want to add. So let's go back to where we add it. Great. So the way that we've done this, first off, if you could just go add a civic.json file to your project on your own, and you're done, and it's super easy. But say you're not quite as comfortable with GitHub, you're not quite sure about the structure of JSON. We just wanted to make it a little bit easier for you. It's particularly, say, if you're the volunteer who's in charge of all of your projects, say just making sure that the projects are being released and the right metadata is there. So we're going to log into GitHub. Bing, hi, Andre. And what that's going to bring us is the ability to add this civic.json file. So we've got some instructions here. We want you to go research the project. So if we go look at the Code of Conduct, this is Code for America's Code of Conduct. It's got all these rules about how to make a really safe and respectful environment for all of the volunteers. And stuff. We based a lot of this off of the Ada Institute, but we've got our own thing. Just while I'm here, if anybody does have stuff they want to talk about, safespace@codeforamerica.org is the right place to report that. We've even got a little amendment for Slack down here, but great. So that's nice. But if someone comes across it in our project search, they might not know much about it. So let's see if we can add a little bit of information to this. So step 2 is to choose the correct project stage. We've got a link to the stages there, so you can go and ask yourself that question, like what stage do I think my project is at? I'm going to put it as official. Add some tags here. So in Code for America's Code of Conduct, people would have to search exactly for that. So let's say harassment. Did I spell that right? Let's say legal. What are some good tags? Harassment, legal, events, online, safe space. Yeah, there we go. That's good. And there's even this little pull request message here, right? This is gonna the person who owns the project is gonna be getting this message from you when they see this. If they, maybe they don't quite know what a CivicJSON is, this tries to explain it a little bit. Now, we really recommend that you're only sending pull requests to your own projects or to your own Brigade's projects, because it's just a little weird when, especially volunteers, there's some ownership around this stuff. They put in a lot of time, and now all of a sudden there's this weird file being added to their own projects. We think it's really useful. This piece of civic.json is going to power the search and a lot of other stuff that can be built on top of it. And yet, you just want to be respectful of it. Like let them know beforehand. Maybe just do it to your own projects. All right, everybody, cross your fingers. I'm going to send this pull request to the Code for America Code of Conduct. Yeah, all right, there we go. See, it brought us right to the repository. It sort of tells us what this is all about. Makes it easier to find with the search. We got tags and statuses. You can read more about it. It's got my name and it's got my favorite little emoji here, right? Good work. Cool. So now we would our job is done as the maybe we're the delivery lead for our brigade, and we're going through the list of projects once a month or so to like update the tags and the stages of them. We would now wait for the project owner to merge that, and within an hour or so, it'll be updated. And you'll see it on the Code for America search page. Great, so let's go back. Okay, so that is how we add stages and how we add tags to the project. Let me see if I can. I want to show you guys real quick the this is what we just added, this little civic.json file. So you see the civic.json. It's got a status of official and these tags. It's a list of comma separated tags. Super simple. Okay. All right, Monique, are there any questions about the civic.json service or file format or anything like that?
So not in the chat, but maybe if anyone has a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask us.
All right. So I'm going to do two more things now. I'm going to show you where we're getting this information from. I'm going to talk about the Code for America API. So if you're just interested in this Civic Tech project search tool, how to use it, how to upgrade it for your brigade, I think we've covered all of that. We show you how the tool works, why we built it, how all the stuff goes. We've got all the information here. Even at the bottom of this this README, I've got the advice for the brigade about like why you would want to go through this process, and some specific instructions for your volunteer group. Now, we really recommend that this is a new tool, so we'll see what emerges, but that you maybe once a month or maybe on a rolling basis or something, whoever's the delivery lead for your brigade, you go and you look for just your group's projects. You can search on here, say for Code for San Francisco, and you'll see the whole list. That you would review each project. You'd go and talk to the team. You check out their live examples and the README. Just get a general feel for the project so that you could accurately give it an appropriate stage and the tags that you think would help. Right? And then add the CivicJSON file. Okay. So I'm going to go into the API about what happens here. I want to show you guys some other little experiments that I've got with this page, and then just go over a little list of other tools that we're playing around with building. But anybody that just cares about the project search, That's it for now. Thank you very much for volunteering. Okay, let's say this. Let's go and search for, what was it? It was like official projects in JavaScript, right? I think it was no, schools. We wanted to do official school projects. Awesome. So we see it returns us early Oakland. We've got all this information about it. If you go into the URL here and you take away Brigade, you put in API, you're going to get the Code for America API representation of Open Oakland's early Oakland project, right? So this, the project search tool is like an exact match on top of our API. Now the Code for America API, we've had running for quite a while, and it's got all of the, every brigade in it, a bunch of opt-in governments, a bunch of Code for All groups. You can find out information about them. You can see a bunch of information about their meetup events. You can read a bunch of their blog posts. We've got all of that stuff in the API. We're also pulling in everybody's projects. So this is the main engine that's powering that big list of 4,000 plus projects. And we've got search and everything built into it. So when you look for a project, you'll see we've got links to it. We've got its description, got a bunch of stuff from GitHub if it's a code project. If it's a code project, we've actually pulled in all of the open issues as well. Programming languages, who did it. We've got those tags and that status. There you go. So now we could take away schools and just search for more of the status of official. You'll find all of them. So it's an exact matching to all those different ways you can search. So you can search by the name of the group that built it. You can search by the name of the project. You can search by the description of the project. You can search by the programming language, or you can search by the stage and the tags. Got it? All right. So this thing, with the way that it works is we have, just real quickly, so I have a bunch of stuff I want to show. If you go to the Code for America API, CivicAPI repo, we've got a ton of information about what this is, how it works, a bunch of projects, sort of why we did it. You know, again, we took a lot of inspiration from Chicago, New York, and Boston, and all these other improvements that we're making to it. So it goes in at actually once an hour. Let me show you this thing. I've got links to it in here. Information, Brigade information. I've got this big list of all of the groups that we want to pull from, all the civic tech organizations. So this organization.json. First up, we got 18F, that government group, but then we got a ton of these local brigades. So once an hour, my Code for America API goes and checks this list and reads in everything. And from it, I'm pulling in your blog posts. I'm pulling in your I'm pulling in your meetups, but I'm also pulling in your GitHub account. So we've got lots and lots of. This is like the main source. If you want to get your group included, this is how you add it to it. If you want to, change some of the info, this is how it goes. We really advise you add a GitHub organization, make things a lot easier. But if you need to, you can add, you can point us to a CSV list. So you could like hand curate a list of projects that are included for your group in this search tool. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna see something real quick. Okay, let's go back there. All right, so that's the API. So that's how this whole thing works. So that's why those stages and those tags and stuff, it's not just for our tool. Like there's other really good tools out there that are starting to be built on top of the Code for America API that can now also read that metadata that you've added. Some really examples I saw in the forum about this exact event that we're having. Someone linked to, I think, this project out of New York called civhub.io, and it's another, it's like, much better designed attempt at doing some really similar stuff. You can go and find a bunch of projects. So it'd be really useful for them to plug into our API, and then they can also make, they'd have their list of 4,000 projects. They could also add the stages and the tags that you've gone and added. Another project is civicmakers.org. This is coming out of San Francisco, and it's just starting. And they're more about having a big list of projects, but having like discussions around the projects and making them a little bit more. I think answering Karen's question from earlier, like what's the process behind this to help get it set up in my city? I think they want it more like what's the story of this service, and how did I successfully convince my IT department to to implement it there. This would be a tool where that type of story could be captured. All right, so those are other places that are going to read from the Code for America API eventually and get this big pile of projects. So we'll see now. We've done the project search, we've done stages and tags, we've done the Civic JSON, we've done the Code for America API. There's lots of stuff going on here. That's cool. None of this stuff can just be built by us alone. Like, we're way too small of a staff, and there's always craziness of this nonprofit that we really need your help to get this right. And so right at the top of this, I've got the submitting an issue link, and that's going to bring you to the list of issues about project search, and there's a whole bunch of them, like lots of work we can still do. But I think it's at the point it's ready to share for you. So if you go click on that link, you'll be brought to this list of issues. And please go and add a new issue to help make this tool better. Whether it's like a mock-up you have of a much better way to do that add more information button. Whether it's my search kind of sucks, right? Like you saw me going and typing in the URL line at the top. Maybe you can make it a little smarter about the correct blend of stages and programming languages and which brigade type. Like, is it a Code for All project? Something. There's lots and lots of room for improvement. This is where we would like to have the discussions about those improvements. At the top of the project search tool to add a submitted issue link. It'll bring you to the Brigade repo. I've got a milestone called project search to be able to see lots of stuff in there. So that's the feedback loop. Let me see. Now, I wanted to show y'all some experiments that we had over this. One second. All right. So over the winter break, here we go. Over the winter break, I was just messing around. I finally had a little bit of free time to write some code, and I wanted to make an embeddable version of this tool, one where you could actually embed this project search service in your own website. If you're familiar with the Civic Tech Issue Finder that shows you open GitHub issues, this is the same idea. That tool has been super successful. Let me show you real quick. You go to specific issues. Because we've got this huge pile of 5,000 projects, we pull all of the GitHub issues as well, and we're showing off all the ones that say help wanted. It's super successful. Lots and lots of pull requests are coming for volunteer projects through this tool. But we've made it embeddable, so groups like Code for San Francisco, Code for South Africa, all of them can embed this in their own site right here, right? And I think that's been the power of this thing, and why it's gotten so much use is because we were able to get it out there to lots of others. So my experiment that I'm running is trying to make this project search tool embeddable as well. So if you notice, I'm on localhost. I'm just on my machine. Like, this thing is not ready. But we've got it where you can embed this same tool. So let me show you. I've got to embed this link right here. The way that this would work would go to the embed link, and you could either just pull this iframe code right here to embed just the plain project search, or you should be able to go and like choose maybe just your group. Say you're a Chi-Hack Night in Chicago, you just want to pull your projects. There you go. We've got Chi-Hack Nights. Great. So that's under works at the moment. I don't even know when it'll be ready. We'd love your help with it. There's a branch on the Brigade GitHub repo. I'll send the link to it to help us get that right. And it's kind of fun too, because while we're doing the embed part, you notice the whole thing has to reload on a search. And so you lose the title, you lose the search bar, you just lose all this stuff. So it's actually a really great candidate for a client-side service that just works on state. And so we actually did this whole thing in React. So if I am searching for just Python ones, you'll know nothing has to reload there. It's just using React and making another call this way. Let's say let's get all the alpha projects. Let's get the JavaScript alpha projects. You'll see it starts moving around. It's good. Find HTML stuff. There you go. So great. So it's an embeddable React app. It's pretty good. The problem that I haven't solved with it, and I would like to do, is that you can't share the link. Like I can't share this search with somebody on this local host. You see that the URL up here stays the same. We would need to write some way for this iframe to talk to the parent. I haven't quite figured that out. If I go to the live version, back here, see the search and everything that I've got is live up here in the URL. So I'm able to really easily like link directly to that search or share out what it is I'm talking about. So I haven't figured that part out. So if anybody has any thoughts on how to make an embeddable version of this tool that also is easy to share the links, please submit an issue right here at the top and tell us out about it. And then this whole tool will be a lot better. Cool. I've got some extra little surprises to show y'all, but I think question and answer would be good beforehand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Let's do some question and answers. All right. So no, I don't see any in the chat. We answered about the API. I think hopefully Aaron and Karen's the question earlier about like how to best convince a IT department to take on some of these apps. Anybody on the video? Okay. Then let's see. I got one more cool thing to show you. All right. CodeForAmerica.org. Or let's see. If we go to the stages, if we go and read some of the support that we offer for the different Brigade projects at different stages. I think if we go down to beta, there we go, beta. At this stage, you want to make sure that your thing is stable enough for a government and community partner. And so I've started experimenting with some ways to make that happen. So what I've got here is the Civic Tech Project Monitor. Imagine we've got that big list of 4,000 plus projects. We're trying to say that they should be stable and work if somebody links to them. One way that's worked really well for Code for America is up in our office, we've got a big screen, and we just have all the most recent projects up there, and we have if their tests are passing or not. So here we go. CodeForAmerica.org/brigade/projects/monitor. So this is a way to use a little bit of shame if for your volunteers. So we recommend that you go and you put this up in your Brigade Hack Night to let people know, be like, oh my gosh, your project's not passing. So this works for everybody. So this is just going across all 4,000 projects and starting to check them. But you can always go and do it for just your group too. Let's say I'm using Chai Hack Night as an example because I know that they have some Travis tests. So you go to just your group's individual page. I'm going to wait for it to load. Chai Hack Night's project monitor. There we go. And we've got a nice little quick and easy screen that they could see really quickly, like which of these groups have a most recent test is passing or not. Right? We found this to be really effective. So we recommend you go put it up at your Hack Night. Yeah. Super simple. There's a lot of improvements that could be made to this thing actually too. If you go, well, basically what's happened is GitHub has recently released a new endpoint that's the commit status endpoint. And so we want to switch from this tool right here is just going and asking Travis about all of these projects, like is the test passing? We want to switch to asking GitHub in that hourly update by the Code for America API like what is the status of the last commit, and adding that to the API so that then everybody who builds on top of the API can have that. We don't have to make all these extra calls. I've actually got a call to action for exactly that, and I think that's what I'll leave you with. The Code for America API, issues, help wanted, get the last commit status for each project. I've got a really clear description here. I'll send this link in the forum as well. A really clear description about how we can improve that project monitor using this new GitHub endpoint, how to actually do it, which files are there, what kind of tests to write, what kind of code you want to write. And I included help wanted to get somebody to come and help us do it. Cool. That's everything for this morning. So again, we talked about the brand new Civic Tech project search tool, codeforamerica.org/brigade/projects. We showed how we've been trying to make it work for government employees, for brigade leaders. We talked about the metadata of these stages and the tags. We talked about how to add your own civic.json file to them, either on your own or through our tool. We showed you how you can go and improve this tool, like where the code lives and how we can have discussions about it. Showed you some experimental React and embeddable versions. And this new thing that we're working on, this project monitor, for you to put up at your Hack Night so you can get people to write stable code. That is everything. Any final questions from anybody before we log off for the day?